Good morning, everyone. It's Dawn here at Always in Stitches in Noblesville, Indiana. And today, Peter wanted me to talk to you about punch needle or needle punch embroidery. They're both the same thing. Some people say punch needle, some people say tomato, you know the kind of thing I'm talking about. Okay, so punch needle or needle punch, either one, it's the same thing. And it's a pretty easy, well, I would say more than pretty easy. It's easy to do punch needle. You don't need a lot of supplies and you get really fast results. So this video is going to be for somebody who has never even heard of punch needle. It's an introduction, and I just wanted to start at the very beginning and take you through all the steps that it takes to have a beautiful design made out of punch needle. It's very much like rug hooking, only on a very teeny weeny scale. This is a piece that I did. The design is by Teresa Kogut, and I just found this frame like at Hobby Lobby or someplace like that, and it fit perfectly in there. And it just makes just for a really nice decoration that you can set up. So many people are having problems with so much stuff on their walls. This would be a fun thing to set up, but you can hang it too, so either or. But anyway, I love this piece. I love how the background is all this variation, all this interest going on, and that comes from the choice of the floss that I used, and I'm going to talk about that, okay? So we're going to talk about a lot of things. Go get a cup of coffee or tea or Diet Coke or whatever it is that you prefer. Sit back, enjoy, relax, and learn about punch needle or needle punch. Okay? Here we go. I'm going to put this back here. Okay. First thing you need is your needle, right? So we just happen to carry this brand. It's probably the most popular brand out there. It's the Ultra Punch, the Precision Adjustable Needle. I'm reading right off the back of that because I just call it my needle. All right? And it comes with everything you need. It comes with this little instruction booklet that shows you everything I'm going to show you today. So if you need a quick reference, you'd have that in your arsenal. And it comes with all these supplies, and I'm just going to show you. I put mine in this little fun tin. I got this like maybe 100 years ago. I have no idea. It's Department 56 Tea Party tin. You would probably only be able to find it on eBay or an antique store or something like that. And then this is just one of those handy dandy magnety things that you put on. It's really a strong magnet for a needle minder. And I'll show you in a minute why I like to have that, and I like to keep it right on my tin there. So inside this package you get the needle holder. Okay, that's what this is. This is the needle holder. The needle goes in this little tube, and it's very easy to put on because here's a little arrow. And then it has this little wing kind of contraption. And then the arrow here goes to the arrow there. So you match up the little arrows and you push it in. And then you give it a little twist. And that puts your needle. That's as easy as it is to change the needle. Well, why would you want to change the needle? Well, it comes in different sizes. And if it ever is not performing, like if it gets dull, you might want to have to replace it. It's according to how much you're going to needle punch. So inside the package, it comes with large, medium, and small. And then you can also purchase extra small. Let me get that out so you can kind of see the difference. Alrighty, can you see how those are they just go down in size? And really the size is the tube. This is like a straw. This is a tubular needle. It has a little hole in the bottom there, and then it has a beveled edge. Can they see that very good?
Yes.
They can. Okay,
yes.
Excellent. So the beveled edge and the hole. And then it comes with 2 springs, a spring with a point on the end and a spring without the point on the end. And I have never read my book to find out what the difference is. I just always keep this one. I bet this is for the large one because I don't think the large one would go through that little thing. So I've got my medium one on. Most things you use the medium. You could use the small. I do like to use the small. It depends upon how intricate your pattern is. Okay, so that's how you choose which needle. Also, how many threads you're going to put through the needle. That depends upon the size also. So I've got my needle in. Now I'm going to put my spring on. And then I'm going to push it into my little case right here. It just goes right in. And you can see there's a little nub, little metal nub. That's all I can think of to call it. And then there's these numbers along the side that have little gauges that you slip into. So I just twist and see how my nub comes out, and I can go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, 5. You get the idea. If I go all the way up to 12, look at how long my needle is. That, half that size, that's how big my loop's going to be. Because my loop is going to go halfway. It's going to go down, then it's going to come back up, and then that's going to be half the size. So my loop is going to be that long. That looks to be about 3/4 of an inch. So that's a pretty long loop, okay? So normally your pattern will tell you what loop size. If it doesn't tell you, I like 1 or 2. And you can use multiple heights of loops in the same project. Let's say, for instance, you're doing a sheep, Peter's favorite thing in the whole world.
Lots of different breeds.
Lots of different breeds. But if you want your sheep to be dimensional and you want his hair, wool, to be fluffy, you could extend the length of the loop and make that stand up, and then the background, you could make the loop smaller, and then he would be dimensional. So that's kind of a cool thing to play with, back and forth, is the height of your loop, all right? So choosing the needle size, most of the time in your pattern, it'll tell you what size. Your large is if you want to use 6 strands. Your medium is if you want to use 3 strands. Your small is for 2 and 1 strand, and your extra small is for 1 strand. And all those are how small the detail is in your pattern. So I'm going to put all this away. It also comes with this. Can they see? Here, let me move this.
Oh,
these are your needle threaders. All right, needle threaders. Ooh, I just dropped one of my needles. That's why I keep it all in this little tin right here, because I don't want to lose anything. There you go. So that's what everything you get. This is your needle threaders. I'm just going to show you how to use that. Put that back there. So in a few minutes when we get ready to needle punch, I'm going to thread my needle. What am I going to thread it with? Well, there's lots of things out there that you can use to do punch needle with. The most common is floss. And I brought some flosses from off the floor in the shop. For backgrounds, remember I showed you the backgrounds of my stars, are those stars? Yeah, of my stars over there. And how I got that variegation is I used a specialty thread. Now this Classic Colorworks, I would say these are not really very highly variegated. So if I was going to use these, might as well just go ahead, because these are a lot more expensive than the DMC. But see, they're hardly at all variegated, just a slight little bit. So if you wanted a slight variation, you could get the Classic Colorworks. Then there's this Gentle Art. Now, I like the Gentle Art, and here's a blue, a dark blue. And it's got some good variations. See, here's kind of a medium blue with a dark blue. There is a DMC that's variegated. Look, woo! Look at that. That'll knock your socks off right there. So that has lots of good variation, good for a background. And then Weeks Dye Works. Now, also I love this one. Look at how much variegation is in this one. That may be the one I used on my stars. No, it isn't. It's too light. But anyway, I like that. And then I also like this Weeks Dye Works. So those are good for the variations for the backgrounds. And then I got some of these DMCs out because we have this wonderful pattern. I love this pattern because it's the starter sampler set. It teaches you how to do curves. It teaches you how to do points. You've got a flower here. You've got a vine, so that's got some small detail. This is a really chunky pattern. Then you've got a smaller, more detailed pattern. Then you've got something that even goes into multiple colors. And then you've got this that you can build your skills and really get down into the fine detail. And this package, of course, is made by the same company that makes the needle. And so the instructions are really, really good. It comes like this, and what it is it's the instructions, but it doesn't give you the floss, and it doesn't tell you what floss to use. It just says, go ahead and get some colors that you already have, or just buy some basic colors. But you can see the pattern is printed out. So like on my heart here, I would use this background, and maybe for the heart I would use a red. And then here for my star, I would use this dark blue background, and then a fun yummy gold. And you think I'm pretty smart about this, but look, I'm just going by the picture. I'm not really that smart. I mean, I could do it on my own, I guess. And then this one down here is kind of a combination of the blue. See the little blue on top of the cornflower, and then the flower, and then there's green. So you've got a green, pick out a green. And then this one over here just uses the red, the green. There's a brown. You could get a brown for the stem. I didn't even look at that. So just some basic colors would get you started on this. And the pattern is already printed right on the fabric. Now let's talk about the fabric. Can you do it on just any fabric? No, you cannot. It has to be weaver's cloth. And the reason is because there's nothing knotting, K-N-O-T-T-I-N-G.
There's nothing naughty?
Nothing naughty. Knotting the loop in place. It's the tightness of the weave of the fabric that's holding the loop in place. So it's not being knotted in. That's what I'm trying to say in a very strange way. Okay, so my tongue is tied around my eye tooth. That's what some people say here in Indiana. So you need to use a fabric that has a really tight weave, and weaver's cloth is the best. Well, how can I buy weaver's cloth? Well, a lot of times when you buy a pattern, it comes with the weaver's cloth, okay? But if you buy a pattern that doesn't come with the weaver's cloth, we sell it by the yard. It is $10.99 a yard, and a yard goes a super, super long way. I think it's 45 wide. Yep, 45 wide, and then however much a yard is 36 inches. So you can buy a quarter of a yard. You could buy, just whatever you needed. But you need to get enough that your design will fit on it, and it'll go in your hoop. So see how big of a piece this is compared to the design? That's because it needs to fit in the hoop. There needs to be enough around to fit in the hoop. So this is a nice pattern because it comes already printed. There are 4 kinds of patterns. There's patterns that come with the weaver's cloth and are printed, like this one. There's ones that come with the weaver's cloth that aren't printed. See, this is just a piece of weaver's cloth. And then the pattern is inside. It tells you what floss to get. See, DMC, Weeks Dye Works. It tells you exactly. It gives you the DMC if you want to use all DMC or if you want some specialty threads with some variegation just to make it interesting. See that background, how interesting that is? And the scarf and the sheep. That's all from variegated threads. So it gives you all that right here. It tells you all that. So you have to gather up your threads. No big deal. But how do you get that pattern onto the fabric? Here's the pattern. Here's the chart that tells you where the floss, what colors the flosses are. Okay? So in order to get your pattern onto your fabric, you can use a light box, you can go to the window, you can, whatever you need to do to see through. Can they see that, Peter?
Oh yeah, it sees right through.
Sees right through. Weaver's cloth is easy to see through. And then my favorite thing to trace with is an 05 black micron Pigma pen. Now that's a lot, but Peter's going to hold it there on the picture so you can get a, what do they call that when they snap a shot of the picture? You know, if you press down on...
Is it a snapshot?
It's a snapshot. It's
Screenshot.
Screenshot, that's what I wanted to know. And how you do a screenshot is you take the power button and the little button on the front and you hit them at the same time when you have this picture up, and it'll take a snapshot of the screen. Okay, so that's an easy way to get that information. So mine looks like this, the tip, pretty fine tip there, but not so fine that it's going to catch on the fabric. But the best part about this pin is it's permanent and it doesn't seep into the fabric. I mean, it doesn't spread out. It keeps a nice, sharp, fresh line. So I love that. That's the reason I choose that pin. And it doesn't have to wash out because this is, you're putting it on the back of the fabric. It's not ever going to show. But you want a pin that's not going to seep all the way through because then that goes to the front and it could show. So the micron pin is really the best choice for tracing your patterns. The other way a pattern might come is in a book. Okay, so this is where you would need to go buy yourself a piece, and weaver's cloth comes in colors. It doesn't matter because it's going to get covered, so it doesn't matter what color you choose. The white's easier to see through. So if it's in a book, you just lay this over and you trace it. Now, notice, let's see if there's one in here that has words. Yes, look at this. This one has words, but they're backwards. Because backwards words. Yeah, the backward words are backwards. Because you are going to stitch this from the back. So that will turn the words the correct way when it's on the front. So remember that in the book it's already turned around for you. But if you're using something maybe that you've done yourself, you'll have to flip those words over and make them reversible. So there's that. Man, I'm getting kind of a little collection here, aren't I? Okay. Now comes to what we're going to do today. Let me get rid of this. I like a tidy space. This pattern comes, and this is iron on. Now, if you don't want to iron it on, of course you could lay it over and trace it. But for this, Should I tear this out, Peter? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tear that out. And you can see, here's the pattern. Here's the iron-on transfer. And this pattern is the fourth way a pattern can come, and that's with all the floss. It came like this in the kit. So there's all the colors. Where's my picture? All the colors for this whole thing. And he's this size. That's the size he's going to be. So you can see, because of my hand, that's about maybe 4 inches high by about 3.5 inches wide. Okay? Very, very cute. But because it come with all the floss, hip, hip, hooray, you don't have to go searching for floss. And then this is going to be the background. You can see they didn't use the whitest part. They've cut that out. They've only just used just the dark and the medium. So I'm going to show you now how to prepare a skein of floss to needle punch with. Okay? The end that is coming from the number end, the loose end that comes from the number, is the end you want to pull. Okay? So I'm just going to pull that out, let it fall on the floor. If your floors are clean, and I'm sure they are. See how I'm holding it over here because I don't want this to get all knotted up? I'm just letting that flow right out of my hand. 9 times out of 10, it'll never knot on you if you pull from the end that has the number. So see, didn't even knot on me. Now I'm going to take this end and I'm going to go like this. And I'm going to find the other end. Don't do this in the same room with a cat. Just saying. Now I found the other end, and I'm going to put those ends together. Now I'm going to find the other end. And if you do it right and do it slow, you won't get knotted up. If you get fast or tricky with it, you know, just sassy with it, it might knot up on you. But just take your time. And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strands. How did I get 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 strands. All right? I'm going to take these 8 strands, and where the 2 pieces that are loose up here, the loose ends, there are 3 loops, and I'm going to cut those 3 loops. Now, if you don't want to use a piece that is super duper long, you can cut it in half again, but I'm going to leave them this long, okay? So now I have 4 strands because I didn't cut it in half, okay? All right, look how long it is. Oh, okay. I'm going to take one piece out. And look at how lucky I was. This piece didn't have any white in it. Look at that. There's a little bit that's really light. I'm going to cut that off, because I really don't want that real light one in my background. Because my snowman, I want him to show up. I think I'll cut that little one off too. Okay, so now I've got a pretty dark piece. And now I want 3 strands. It's 6-stranded floss. I want 3 strands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull apart 3 strands. See there? I've got 3 over here, 3 over here. I'm going to just kind of split them, hold one set over here in these fingers, one set over here in these fingers. I'm going to take this finger and I'm just going to start pulling and separating those pieces. And I'm going to just kind of let it dance as it untangles. Just kind of dance, see that? As it untangles. Let it just flow through free, and as you draw your finger through there, just kind of straighten it as you go. And look at that, no knots. I'm going to take this piece, fold it in half, fold it in half again, just to get the length shorter and more manageable. And then in my little thing here, I punched an extra hole, and I'm just going to put that in that extra hole just to keep it safe and keep it from knotting up and to keep my cat out of it. Okay, so now I have another piece ready to go. See that? All right. So now I'm ready to start. The only thing is I don't really want to start on the background. So I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this in half again. I'm going to just put this back on the babysitter. That's what I call this, the little babysitter.
Oh, I love that, the babysitter.
Yeah, because it's babysitting all my threads.
Can we call it the pit bull?
A pit bull?
Yeah.
No.
They used those as babysitters back in the 60s.
What?
Yeah, because they were so good with kids.
Yeah, but how do they fix them lunch and change their diapers? Peter, you're making that up. Are you making that up?
I thought I saw something on social media about it.
I think you cannot believe everything you see on social media, Peter. Pit bulls for babysitters. You're so weird some days. But that's what we like about him. Because he fits right in with the rest of us.
I did have a trick question.
Oh, what is it?
So if you were going to do a punch needle of an ambulance, how would it have to be? So, you know your words, right?
Ambulance?
Yeah.
They would have to be turned around.
So it would have to be spelled out right side facing or backwards facing when you go to punch it.
The A, you would still have the A first, but it would be turned around. Quit it! I can't think. I just have to do it. I'm a visual person. He is really informed
I've been holding on to
today.
that one for a while.
He is informed today. Okay, I'm going to start out with the eyes. That's the smallest detail. Okay? Oh, but before I do that, remember I told you this pattern has to be transferred onto the cloth. So Peter's going to come over here. Got the iron heating up. Now here's a little test piece right here. Where are my scissors?
There's a whole stack of them right there.
There's a whole stack of scissors right here.
I like how you knew that those were paper scissors.
These are all paper scissors. These are all sold. Who knows what's been put on them, what they've been put on. Okay, so I'm going to try this. I've got my iron on the hottest setting, and I'm just going to put it on there, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I just keep moving my iron. I'm going to hold it in place.
So it's like a tattoo.
Oh, look at that!
It's a tattoo.
It kind of is a tattoo.
This is only made for fabric though.
Yes, yeah,
only
don't
goes
iron
on
it on your
fabric.
skin.
Don't do that.
Don't iron it on your back. Don't iron it on your cheek, okay? Just iron it on the fabric. And I'm just going to kind of put it right in the middle. I'm going to cut off this Midnight Snowman transfer pattern. And you know what? I'm going to maybe get rid of some of this fabric so I can see better where I'm putting it. Look at that.
Does it have to be exactly center, or are we just eyeballing?
No, we're just going to eyeball it.
Okay.
The reason you want it centered, I mean, you would think you could put it up here to save fabric, but then there's no place to put it in the hoop. You know, you got to save it so that you can get it in the hoop. So I'm just going to eyeball it. It doesn't even matter if it's straight on the fabric, like if the line is exactly in the line. It doesn't matter that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Your counting is almost in perfect octave.
Look at that. Perfection.
Man, well begun is half done.
Yep. Okay. Now let's talk about the hoops. Lots of choices in hoops. You might even have your great grandmother's old wooden hoop.
Will it work?
No.
Oh.
They make these, we even have one here, but they're very, very expensive. They're little frames that have bunches of needles sticking out of them, and you draw your fabric around them. I don't care for those because when I set my hands on them, I get pricklies right here. So I don't even mess with that. Some people love those, but I just don't. What I love is
So no porcupine frame.
No porcupine frames for me. This is a Morgan hoop. And once you try these Morgan hoops, you probably would not go back to any other hoop. They have a locking system, a tongue and groove. If you can see, there's the groove, and here is the tongue.
Oh, so it's going to pinch the fabric inside
It's
the hoop.
actually going to, yes, lock the fabric in the hoop. So the fabric has to be drum tight. And when I say that, what I mean is, you know how taut the pigskin or whatever that stuff is that's over a drum is super, super tight? That's how tight you need to keep your fabric for your needle punch. It comes in all sizes. This is a 5 to 7 inch. This right here is your best value because you get a 5, a 7, and a 9. And then if you're doing bigger things, this probably would do most needle punch projects. Needle punch is not a large, you know, we don't really have a lot of large pieces, but this is the 10 to 12. Now you can see I did have to use my number 12 on this one. Very rarely do I have to use that number 12, but on that one I did. Now, what is so special about these frames and why do they have these groovy things in them? I'm going to show you. Not only are they hoops, they're stands. Okay? If I just had my needle punch, that's the perfect size hoop for that one, don't you think?
Yeah.
I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to open this frame up. This hoop, pull that apart, get that out. Lay that there. Feel for where my nubbins are. I got a nubbin there, a nubbin there, and a nubbin there. So I'm pretty good. I'm going to switch that around just a little bit more. Yeah. And a nubbin there. Okay. Then I'm going to push this down and let that tongue be even. Well, I shouldn't have undone it as much. Let's get it in there a little bit better. Okay, lay that down. Get it really nice and flat. Put that in there. And then just turn this wing nut. Are you impressed that I know what this is, this wing nut?
Well, you would have to know. That's just a given.
That's a given.
Yeah, because you're a collector of all.
I'm a collector of gadget things.
Of gadget things.
And then I'm just going to go around and I'm just going to make sure that fabric is nice and taut before I completely secure it into the hoop. I could play a song. I could be Ringo Starr. Do you know who Ringo Starr is?
Uh-uh.
Yes, you do. Quit it.
Uh-uh.
Do you know who the Beatles are?
Uh-huh.
Well, Ringo Starr was their drummer.
Oh. Why don't they just call him the Beatles?
Because the Beatles is all 4 of them.
Oh.
He has an identity all his own.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so that is super taut. Okay, so if I had this in my lap
Uh-oh.
and I was
Oh,
taking
gosh.
my punch needle
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
and I started punching, I'd be screaming bloody murder and there'd be bunches of blood right here because I'd be punching right into my leg. Don't do that, okay? Do not punch like that. Don't punch like this on the table. You're going to wear out your punch because your punch is going to hit the table and it's going to dull it down. What you need to do is you need to have it on a stand. So this middle ring of my hoop can be my stand to this because I have these legs. Now, I have 2 different kinds of legs, and they come right with the hoops, okay? You don't have to go buy them separate. They come right with the hoops. This set of legs has a small nubbin and a big nubbin. And this set of legs has 2 big nubbins. See that? Now, look at your hoops. This hoop has a little nubbin. This hoop has a little nubbin, and this one has a big nubbin, okay? What size does this one have? Big. What size am I going to put it on? Little. So I know instead of having big, I need the big and little. So I'm going to put the little ones in. And look, if I put them this way, the next hoop is going to be bigger. If I put them this way, the hoop is going to be littler.
Genius.
I know. I'd like
Absolute-
to say I invented this, but I didn't.
Because the whole time I was trying to figure out, okay, if it has these different size hoops and the picture shows a bigger stand, how are you using the bigger size?
Right.
Now it
right.
makes sense.
It makes sense because the legs are custom fit for each stand. So now I just kind of feel where my nubbin is. I push that on. I know there's probably a technical term for these nubbins, but I like to say nubbins. So I'm going to call them nubbins.
Have you watched Friends? Okay.
I mean, I watch a few of them, but I don't really watch TV much.
Well, anybody who watches Friends is probably cracking up laughing right about now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so see how my stand gives me room to punch? Now, I just use one of these basic things that you get at the craft store to store all my needle punch stuff in. So my hoops just fit in there. My big giant 12-inch one won't fit, so it's in the drawer where I keep all my needle punch supplies. But most all of them fit just really good in this little case. All right. Let me get these flosses out of the way because they don't have to do with this project. Now my pattern's all ready to go. Super fun, right?
Yes.
I basically like to start with the smallest details. Do them first and then expand from there. So my smallest detail are my eyes, and I can just see from my pattern my eyes are black. Probably in here somewhere it tells me what color the different sections are. So read your pattern first. Here's my black floss. Oh, I've got to untie it because it's tied up. And man, these pieces are really long. Did you know that you can buy floss in a little ball like skein, like yarn?
No.
It's about that big.
No.
And it's already in 3 strands.
What?
Yeah, Valdani makes it. We don't have any, but I surely would like for us to start carrying that. I might have to talk to Lenine about that. So now I'm just going to pull the black one off, and you saw how easy that came off there, so I'm going to put my babysitter right there. And this is 6 strands of floss. So I'm going to pull out 3, separated into 2 3-piece sections. I'm going to just let it drop. I'm going to run my finger between the sections and let that dance. I'm going to separate those out. I'm going to kind of straighten it out a little bit. Put my finger between it again. Let that tail just dance. Dance like nobody's watching. Have you ever heard that saying?
Uh-huh.
I love that. Dance like nobody's watching. So I don't really want that to get tangled. I'm just going to sit that right there. What happened? Got caught in a thread that was on the floor, I think. So get that out of there. Knots are your worst enemy.
Do you have pretty good thread management?
I do.
You have to.
You have to. Okay, now I'm going to load my needle. See these needle threaders? Man, can they get lost really, really fast. There's hardly anything to them. They're just a little thin piece of wire. That's why you got to have one of these magnets, because that's going to be the home right there every time you put one down, because you will not be able to find them if you don't. I just set them right there. This one's not catching as good as this one. See, that one's catching pretty good. I don't know.
Oh, that one's catching.
Yeah. So anyway, this just kind of keeps it in place, keeps it from going all over the place. So what I'm going to do, I told you this needle is like a straw. So I'm going to insert the needle threader. I'm going to get my finger down here where I can get it in there. Into the straw. Push it all the way in and see how it comes out the other end. I'm going to take my thread, my floss, my 3 strands of floss, and I'm going to thread them right in that big old needle threader eye. And I'm going to tug on the end. It's twisted on the end so it catches the floss. You know, you can't even shake it out of there because it's twisted. So it catches. You want to make sure that you get it in that little twist. And then you're just going to pull, and it comes through the straw of the needle, the middle of the needle. You take it off the needle threader. You take the needle threader, and not on the beveled side, but on the rounded side of the needle, okay? The rounded side of the needle, you're going to insert the needle threader again. And then you're going to take the end of your 3 strands, you're going to put it through the needle threader. Again, I'm going to push it all the way to the tip so that that tip catches it. And that is all there is to threading the needle punch needle. Was that easy? Let's do it again. Start by inserting the needle threader into the straw needle. The needle is hollow on the inside. It goes all the way through. You put your 3 strands of floss. You kind of tug it so that it goes into the end of the needle threader. You pull it out of the needle. You take the thread out of the threader and you insert the threader in the eye of the needle on the side that is curved. Now, look at my tongue. You have to hold your tongue just right to get it. Okay. Thread that, bring it down to the tip, make sure it's caught in there, and then that's all there is to it. All right, now, always put that back on your thing right there. Now, you can do it whatever way you want. You can do it in your lap if you want to. You can hold it like this in your lap, or you can hold it on a table.
Can you do it on a train?
You can do it on a train, a plane. Oh, I don't think they'd let you on the plane with this big old honking needle. You can do it in an automobile, on a cruise.
Can you do it on a bridge?
You can do it on a bridge. You can do it on your head, standing on your head. You can do it however you want. Remember, this is the back of our design. Okay? I'm going to start, and I'm just going to, I have about, I don't know, maybe an inch of a tail here. And I'm going to start just by outlining that eye. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to find, can you see the beveled edge of my needle is right there? I'm going to have that towards me. So that's going to go towards me. And the tail is going to go away from me. And I want to lead with the beveled edge. And all I'm doing is I'm just punching all the way to the end of the needle. And then I'm moving over a thread or two and punching again. Move that out of my way. And I'm going to just move one thread or two. And I'm just going to outline that eyeball. Now this eyeball is so little, it hardly took any
No, I noticed
punching.
you're not pulling the needle up very far off the
I am
fabric.
not pulling the needle off the fabric at all. I mean, you can, but you don't want to pull it way up off the...
So you're just coming up.
I'm just
enough
coming
to move
up
over.
just to scooch the needle over.
I gotcha.
And then that's it. That's it. I'm going to hold my finger on the thread and pull my needle up. I love these scissors. I don't know anybody else who uses these scissors or what these scissors are even made for. I think they're made for embroidery, but I'm not sure. But we have them here at the shop. I love them. They're bent. Do you see that? So I'm going to go down
They
here.
got stuck in a car door.
Maybe, but they're perfect for what we're doing here. I'm not going to pull on that thread. I'm just going to cut it just even with my fabric. That's why having that bend is so nice.
So no knots, you just leave it there.
No knots.
Any
the
glue?
Fabric, no glue. The fabric is holding those punches in place. Let's go do the other one. First, I'm going to outline it, and it's such a small thing, and the bevel of the needle is towards me. 1 punch, 2 punch. You can sing while you're doing it because there's no counting like in counted cross stitch.
Was there a puppet Punch and Judy?
Punch and Judy. Was she a puppet or was she a marionette? No, she was a puppet because you had your hand inside her. Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, those were marionettes, I think. But Punch and Judy. Okay, then I just did a couple to fill in that circle. Now, the biggest thing you don't want is you don't want your thread to get caught on anything. Your thread has to stay free or it's going to not stay in the fabric. And I could feel that had a little resistance. I'm going to put my finger right over the stitch so that it doesn't pull out. I'm going to cut those ends flush. And now you're not going to be able to really tell much. But look. Oh my gosh, those are the big eyes. Okay. Those are some honking big eyes, don't you think?
Those are some big pieces of coal.
Those are some big pieces of coal. I had my stitch set on 2. That probably wasn't a good idea. But guess what? I'm going to leave them.
Okay.
Okay.
Says the lady who will rip out
No, you laugh now,
all these
but
quilt blocks to get a straight point.
you laugh now, but you wait.
Okay, I'm
Okay?
waiting.
All right.
I'm waiting.
Okay.
They're furry eyeballs.
They're furry eyeballs. Okay, now, black, we're done with black. I don't think there's any more black. Let me look. There's no more black in the whole thing. So I'm just going to let this black just kind of live out here.
Feed it to the cat.
Feed it to the cat. Now I'm going to use the orange.
Oh, man.
Which is the nose.
To go with the furry eyeballs.
To go with... Those are some fake eyelashes now.
Those are those glue-ons.
Those are those Kim Kardashian eyelashes. Okay. No offense, Kim. No offense.
We love you, Kim.
I know Kim is watching. I'm sure of it.
We love Kim.
Yeah. Okay. You know they're stopping. They're not going to film anymore.
Oh.
Yeah. It was pretty emotional. I saw the previews. I don't ever watch it. I don't even... If I saw her on the street, I wouldn't even know who she was. I think I would recognize her entourage. You know, she'd be surrounded by a million security people. That might give me my first hint that it's somebody important. Okay, there we go. Now what are we going to do? We're going to reload our punch. Smooth that all up. These pieces are long. Where's my needle
on your magnet.
threader? Is
On
right
your
here on my
magnet.
magnet. I know exactly where it is. I'm going to insert that into my needle. Gonna catch the thread, pull it out, lickety split, undo it, go from the rounded edge into the eye of my needle, put the thread back in the needle threader, catch it with the end, and there, voila, my needle is threaded. See, it doesn't take but a few minutes to do that. All right. I'm going to pull it so the thread is about an inch away. There's about an inch left. And I'm going to outline first. I'm going to start out here on the point. The bevel's pointing towards me. The end of the thread is pointing away, sorry. And I'm just going to punch, scoot over a couple threads. Punch, scoot over a couple threads. Punch, scoot over a couple threads. Now my outline stitch is going to be a lot closer and a lot finer than my fill-in stitch. Now this design is way too small for 6 strands. I would never use 6 strands on this. It's just way too little. Okay, now I'm going to start my fill-in. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go next to this first line that I put on in. And I probably can fill it in just 2 passes. Can you hear that popping noise?
Mm-hmm.
Now that sounds like it's breaking the thread. It's not breaking the thread, it's separating the thread. But because this is so tight, it's making that noise. See how free my thread is over here? It has to be free. It can't be caught up on anything. If you feel any kind of resistance whatsoever, you got to stop and free up your thread. Now that's it. That's all I'm going to do to fill that in. Look at that. We've already got the eyes and the nose done.
Well, he's coming right along.
Well, I mean, he's half done, don't you think? You know,
Half done.
Are you ready?
You can just leave him like that.
Are you ready for this nose?
Yep. Hold on. I can't hold the camera
Doesn't
steady.
that look so funny? That's hilarious.
People are going to hate me because the camera's all shaky. Hold on, I got to zoom in so they can see what's going on here.
That is just so hilarious, isn't it?
Oh my God, that is funny.
Okay. So you probably think, oh man, gosh, I probably ought to start over. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not kidding.
All right, I got faith.
Okay, don't do it. Okay, now, see this little white piece? That is his head. That's what I'm going to do next.
I'm going to refer to the picture. All right, it's time for some snow.
Uh-huh. So here's the white thread.
Make sure the thread's white and not yellow.
Uh-huh. Here's some white thread. Now there's 2 strands of white. So actually there's going to be 6 strands because we're going to cut each one of those strands in half. We're done with the orange. There's no more orange. So we're just going to set our orange over here with our black. Now, if I were at home, I'd be putting these in a little floss bag, you know, those Ziploc floss bags, and I'd be writing the DMC number. See, it's right here on the paper. I'd be writing that number on my bag so I knew what this was. So if I want to do it, use it in another project, I can. Alrighty, split my threads. 1, 2, 3. I think this is the hardest thing, splitting the thread. Okay, once the thread is split, my finger and my thumb's got that 3 strands. These 2 fingers have those 3 strands. And I'm just going to let the tail dance by pulling my finger through the end and letting it dance.
And we're using the 3 thread because we're using the medium-sized tip.
Yes, and because of the size of our thing, and probably the pattern says to use 3. Remember how I said to read the pattern before you start? I didn't. I've been needle punching for a long time.
So you're going by instinct and intuition.
I'm just going by, going by instincts. Okay, here's my threader. Putting it in my needle. Taking my 3 strands of floss, putting it in my needle threader. Are you getting the trend here? This is just, we just do this over and over and over. Every time we add a piece of 3-strand floss.
Well, this looks a lot easier than threading a size 26 or 28 embroidery needle. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, look at how big that needle threader is. It is. You're right. The secret is getting it to that tip so it locks in place. And then it doesn't fall out. Doesn't go anywhere. And nothing says you couldn't use this needle threader on those embroidery needles.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. That's going to go back with my magnet so I always know where it's at. I'm going to put this up here on the table.
So this is like a good weekend project.
Oh, you could do this in a whole day. In a day. Look, I've already got the nose and the eyes. Now I'm going to put the face on.
His little face.
It's going to take me how long? Now, where's the beveled edge of my needle? It's towards me.
Towards you.
Where is the rounded part and the tail of the thread?
Away.
Away. I'm going to start by outlining
and from what
the area.
What I'm gathering is it's easy for you just to keep the needle in one position and turn the hoop.
That's what I like to do. Some people turn the needle. Some people turn the needle. It's not a problem. As long as that needle is always going towards you.
So you can go sideways, you can go left, you can go right.
You can go left and right. I can't go backwards.
But the bevel is always
The bevel is always leading the way. Now, see, I could start going sideways like that. But see, I just find it easier just to turn the hoop and keep my needle always. And I think my punches are prettier that way too. Okay, now here I'm coming up to the nose. What do you think I should do?
What do we do?
Should I go over the nose or should I go around the nose? Well, I never, ever pull my threads over another group of threads.
Because they'll come out the other side.
No, it won't come out, but it'll make it nasty on this back. It won't be as pretty.
Okay.
But if that doesn't matter to you, you could pull it across, but it's easier to get caught and start coming out, okay? Now, I'm just going to go around my nose. And there's a little space between my nose and my eyes.
He's got a little raccoon mask. Oh, this is going to look funny.
Okay, now.
This is going to look so funny
know.
when we flip it over.
Now look at how my thread is caught.
Oh my goodness.
I can feel that tension on my thread. do that.
Sometimes it can get caught in the hoop.
It can get caught.
The hoop,
I mean, you could have your elbow on it.
Oh.
It could get caught on anything, you know. It could be hanging down here and just get caught a little bit on something on the corner. The cat could have the other end.
The cat could have the other end.
Just don't let it get caught up. Let it flow free into your needle. I'm outlining.
He's going skiing. He's got his little ski goggles on.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they look like ski goggles when you're going downhill skiing.
Those are his eyes, Peter. Okay, I've got it all filled in. Now, I'm going to just start putting another row in. Now, can I fit a stitch in between his eyes and that first stitch? I can. I'm going to be very gingerly about it. Now, I don't think I can there, but I'm going to try.
It'll be a light reflection off his eyeball.
Okay, now as you get comfortable with the thread, with the punch, with the fabric, you can start going faster. But because this is such a small space, I'd say take your time. Now look, I'm going to fill in this side of the face, because I really couldn't jump over to this side of the face. I'm going to fill in this side of the face first. And I just keep going around and around and around until he all gets filled in. So it starts to feel like paint by number, only it's punch by color. See how I'm always throwing this thread to keep it loose? That's a habit. I just throw that thread. That's a habit whenever I feel like it's getting caught up. And you're just going to punch until there's no more fabric to punch. And you're going to hold your finger on the thread, pull up, cut that off. And while I'm here with the scissors, I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece off just to get it out of my way. And now, can you see I just have this little bit of face left? The needle beveled edge is towards me. The tail is away from me. I'm again just going to follow that. I could stop right now and look at how my needle just sits in there. That doesn't hurt anything. I'm going to stop right there and get this out of my way. Then I'm going to go back to punching. One more little row here. Hold on. Ready? Now, those eyes are some mega eyes. And I did this on purpose because I wanted you to see. This loop right here, see how loose it is and how big and tall it is? Mm-hmm. Did that on purpose. Because I wanted to show you that if that happens to you, and how that happens is you've punched twice in the same hole, or I have. I've punched twice in the same hole. So I have forced the loop to get longer. So I punched over another loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that out. So you can give your punch needle a little haircut if you need to. Now those eyes are just insane, don't you think? But look what I can do with my pen, with my needle. I can force those loops.
What?
See, you were laughing.
What?
You were laughing.
I was.
Because you thought these were kind of insane.
I thought his eyeballs fell out of his head.
We'll move that nose over just a little bit. And you can manipulate your loops. Now see how this one's got a weird shape? Let's make that a little more round.
Okay. Look at that.
And see how this little thread is caught between the white? I'm just going to lift that little thread right over the top of that white one.
And put him back.
And put him back in place. There you go. Now they don't have to be perfectly round. You know why?
Because they're pieces of coal.
That's right, they're pieces of coal.
If you get coal in your stocking, then go build a snowman.
Right. Now, let me tell you, if you didn't like this, if you think his eyes are too big, you could pull this out. And you could redo it. I mean, look at how much floss we had left, right?
Right, we got tons of floss.
We have tons of floss here. And probably, if I redid it, I'd use the small needle, and I would just do it with one thread. And it wouldn't be this giant. Now I'm having a hard time with that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of my other needles. I could get my stiletto here, that'd help me out. But I could get one of those other needles, and it'd help me pull that thread away from that one. Come on, little thread. There we go. Whoo! That loop just got caught in there. Okay, I kind of think I like his eyes big like that. Do you or not?
I like them.
You do?
Yep.
Okay, if you didn't...
They fit the rest of his body.
Okay.
Proportionally, anyway.
Okay, but let's do this.
Whoa, what happened?
I'm taking it out. Look at
Why
that.
did we take it out?
Because I want him to see what it looks like. Okay. That's how easy it is to pull it out.
So then, do you have to use a new cloth?
Nope.
Oh.
Then I'm just going to take my finger and I'm just going to push those threads back together. See that? Now, I just so happen to have 2 needles. So
Wow,
I'm going to put...
You come prepared.
I did, didn't I? So I'm going to put my small. Now, how do I know this is small?
It probably says it somewhere.
It does, and it's hard to see. But inside that little blue topper here on my needle is an S. There'll be an M for the medium and an L for the large. Okay, I'm going to put my spring in. I'm going to put my needle down in. I'm going to take and I'm going to put it on 2 because that's what size this is. Okay, the nose is on 2. So I'm going to put it on 2. No, maybe I'm going to put it on 1. I think I will put it on 1. Now, I'm going to take my black, and instead of 3 strands, I think I'll use 2. So I'm going to take one strand away. So I put one strand over here in this hand, in this 2 fingers, and 2 strands over here. And again, I'm going to pull my finger through. And with this hand over here, I'm going to kind of keep it straight. Let it dance. Put that one down. Separate them out. Kind of straighten that end out a little bit. And then pull the rest. Now this one strand just can go back over here in my pile. Get my needle threader again. Put my needle threader through the straw, through the hollow of the needle. Put the 2 strands in. If I was to use 1 strand, I probably would get my extra small needle out. Remember to tug that up to the end so it doesn't fall out, and thread my needle. Now notice I can still see my pattern line. Now those eyes were really big, okay? So we're not going to make them as big this time. We're not going to outline clear out to here. We're going to be inside the outline. So there's 1, 2, and it's not popping as much, but it still pops a little bit. Where's the bevel? The bevel's towards me, the bevel of the needle. Where's the tail? The tail is away from me. My thread is free. Well, no, the thread costs money, but it's hanging free. That's a joke. Please laugh, Peter.
I'm concentrating.
I have to tell my husband when to laugh at my jokes because he never gets them. Very seldom am I serious. Okay, I'm going to not tear this out, but I'm just going to pull that out. See how that looks. Ooh, it's still pretty big, and how come it's so long? Did I put it on the 2? No, I put it on the 1. It should be not that long. I can't get it any shorter than a 1.
Well, the outside of the face will smoosh it in.
No, it won't.
Oh, it won't?
Nope. I can just cut them. Okay, let's do the other little eyeball. You little eyeball, you.
Happy little eyeball.
Happy clouds, happy tree.
Happy stars.
Did you know that, what was his name, Bob Ross? He's from Muncie. He was from Muncie.
Oh.
And I knew Bob Ross. We taught at the same painting.
What?
Yep, we taught at the same painting shop in
wow.
Muncie. Okay.
Did you ever meet his friend, the squirrel? Didn't he have a pet squirrel?
I never met his pet squirrel. If he had one, I didn't know
he
anything
had
about
a pet
that.
squirrel.
Okay, now.
Well, his face is looking rough.
You mean right here?
Uh-huh.
Now that's from where we separated all those threads. Okay, let's go back. Let's reload this thread right here. Now, I like to have this little board underneath me to catch all my threads.
That is convenient.
It is, because now they're not all over my chair, all over my floor, whatever.
On your clothes.
On my clothes. This is the same old story. Putting it in there. See, we make these changes and we make these adjustments to show you it can be done.
Oh, so you don't buy new canvas, buy a new pattern.
Right, right. And you don't get frustrated if something doesn't look right the first time.
You don't just give up and call it a day.
No, you ask yourself, okay,
I tried it.
What could I do to change it to make it look better? Okay, I'm going to start by outlining. The beveled edge is towards me. And I make sure I go down and that I am all the way down. My needle goes all the way and touches the fabric. I love these bent scissors because look, they just go flush with my fabric and I can just cut off the little tail. Now look, my hand is on my floss. Can you see that? Right here?
Mm-hmm.
That's gotta be free. I could feel that pull just a little bit. Now that's gonna pull my loops out if I don't let it go free.
Now did we go back to the medium size?
Yes,
needle?
we did.
Okay.
Yes, we did. This
and
is
3 strands.
Here's the little one. Yes, and then 3 strands. Back to 3 strands. Now, would I have had to take the white out? Yes. The reason being is because the white was surrounding the little black, and if I would have left the white in, I wouldn't have been able to see where my eye was. And I'm just going to outline that nose. This is so good because now you're going to see what happens when you run out of thread. See how my thread now, you no longer can see the end of my thread.
Where'd it go?
It went in, it's inside my needle. And I am just going to punch until I run out of thread. And there I'm out. And now I've got a big tail. See, can they see that tail right there?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm just going to leave that. Not going to worry about it. I'm going to load my thread up again. Oh, that's the part I took out. I thought, wasn't that? That's a mess. Okay, get my needle threader. You spend all your time threading the needle mostly. But since it's no big deal, you got this big gigantic needle threader. Threading the needle's not that hard. And it's just part of the process. Now, I love to cross stitch, but I find if I'm going on a retreat or something, and I take cross stitch with me, when I get home I have to pull half of it out because I've counted wrong.
Oh my goodness.
But when you take punch needle with you, it's awesome. It's so easy. You don't have to concentrate.
Oh goodness.
It just becomes second nature to you. Okay? Okay, the bevel's towards me. Okay? I don't know if you can see on my pin or not right here. There's a circle. Do you see that? I know that that circle is opposite my bevel. So if my pin is down inside and I've turned my pin and I don't know where that bevel is, I just look for that little circle and I know that's where my bevel is. So if my thumb is under that circle, then I know my bevel is towards me. Sometimes it's the number. It just depends upon how you put your needle in. So I'm back to just putting the next row around my face. And notice how I'm holding my pin. I'm not holding it like this. I'm not holding it like that. In my hand, it's sort of like I hold my ballpoint pen or my pencil. But I keep it straight up and down. Throw that thread so it's nice and free. I'm going to go around this eyeball. I'm going to go along the face again. Now, is there a right way and a wrong way to outline and fill in? No, you just kind of have to make a judgment call. You're just filling in. Where there's fabric, you're going to punch. You're going to punch right next to where you've already punched. Once you've outlined, you're just going to punch till you fill it all in. Got one more punch here. I think I'm good. Now I've got some space right there, but I'm not going to worry about it. I think I'm good to go. I'm going to start over here on this other side of the eyeball. I'm going to go around that eyeball. Okay, then I'm going to fill in. I really like this size of design, this real small size, because you can get this done in an afternoon, an evening, a weekend. You know, it goes pretty fast. Now this one does have a lot of color changing in it, but and I probably wouldn't recommend that you do this one as a very first project. What I'd recommend is you get those beginner ones that I showed you, and of course you have to get the floss. The best thing about this little project is that it comes with the floss already. You don't have to go searching for floss. But on those practice ones, you could just use floss you already have. And I'm out of thread. Cut that tail off. Here's another piece that's 3 strands. See? I didn't put my needle threaders back where they belong, so now they're on my table, and they almost got hidden. Threading the needle will just become so automatic. You won't even think about how you're doing it. It'll just, you know, you'll just do it. After you've done it 10,000 times, well, maybe 1,000 times, it just becomes automatic. Okay, I'm going to start again.
So I have trivia for you.
Okay.
We have a sign in our punch needle department,
Yes.
which we featured in different shots or
yeah,
videos.
it's huge.
It's huge. It says punch needle real big.
Uh-huh.
How many skeins of floss did that use?
31 in the background alone.
31 in the background alone.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
This does take a lot of floss.
Well, that was a big project.
That was a huge project. Now, a lady came in and brought this beautiful angel.
Oh my gosh, that angel was
Remember,
so pretty.
and it was big. That was a
Oh, it
big
was
project.
beautiful.
You know there was some lot of floss in that.
She was using Valdani on that one.
The thread that comes in the little ball.
Uh-huh.
The floss that comes in the little
Uh-huh.
ball.
The balls of floss.
Yeah, and this skeins of DMC have 5.7 yards of floss on them. Why 5.7? I don't know. That just seems so weird to me. But that's what it said on the label, so that's what I'm telling you. And so...
Now I have to look.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
You're curious? It says it right there, 5.7 yards. But anyway, the Valdani balls, they come with lots more yardage. I don't know really how much exactly. Okay. I'm going to take this out.
He looks angry.
He's a little... Now, would I ever, if my design were bigger than my hoop...
Uh-oh.
What? Are we out of power?
No.
Okay. If my design were ever bigger than my hoop and I
Just
had to
making me
move it
nervous.
around, okay. I can't do that. Don't ever put your loops in the hoop, under the hoop.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah. Do we need to stop and get some more power? Or we're good?
We're good.
Okay. I've taken this out and I want you to see that it's just a bunch of weirdness. Okay?
Looks like icing on a cake.
It does. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this little piece off.
That's the one that ran out.
Uh-huh. That's where we stopped. Both of these big long pieces is where we stopped. So there is always trimming to be done. Okay? Always trimming to be done.
Okay, so on your flowers on that sign out there,
Yeah.
that has all the skeins for the background,
Uh-huh.
then you kind of positioned the flowers so they were nice and neat on the border.
Right.
I gotcha.
Right. Okay,
Well, that's
so
so
I'm going to
cool.
shape these eyeballs. But because they're so long, I don't know why they're not the same size. This must be an older needle. Well, they both say Ultra Punch. Oh, look, I did that last part with the small one. I picked up the wrong pin. That's why these are taller. Okay. Now look what I'm going to do. I'm going to gather up all those little black loops. Now those eyes do look better than the other ones, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put my finger under that and I'm going to clip all those threads down to the same size. That's why these scissors are so super fantastic, is because I can get right flush and just trim that right off. And this is why people don't like punch needle, or they get frustrated because they think, okay, well, that's the way it looks. Well, that's just the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Nobody tells you. Nobody tells you this. It doesn't tell you in the pattern. It doesn't tell you on the videos.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody tells you that you can go in and manipulate.
That's hilarious.
And straighten out your stitches.
It doesn't say that.
Nowhere does it say this.
That's hilarious.
I don't know how I learned this, except for I think I just did it one day. Because I knew I was doing it right, but it just was like, it was misshapen. And I thought, well, nothing says I can't go in there and shape it myself. So I just started shaping it myself. And look at that. Now look, he's got a
awesome.
so much better nose. Now look at this eye.
So that's why your punch needle looks so good, is because you're
I take
making
the
your lines
time,
nice and straight.
to come in
Groom.
and groom. That's a perfect word for it, Peter. I come in and I groom and I put the loops in place, especially the fine detail. Okay? Like on his scarf, there's not going to be any problems. His scarf is just going to lay in place. It's a bigger space. But these little loops, and again, I'm going to pretend those are cool so they don't have to be perfectly round, but I do want them to have kind of a shape. I don't want them to be all hairy like spiders. But now look, that looks so much better, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
I can manipulate those any way I want. I can turn that. Look at that. Look at how much better that looks.
Such a happy little face.
Now, that face is a snowman face. Look at that. Look at that. Now, these loops are bigger because I picked up the wrong pin. Am I going to worry about it? Are my loops going to come out? No, because the fabric is holding them in place. Just going to give that a little haircut. Because those loops were too big. If I were home, I would have taken those out, redone them. But look, now you're not going to even be able to tell. Might have to and as I get things in around this, it's going to even be tighter. So I won't be able to manipulate these as good. So that's why I stop and manipulate as I go. Okay, I can put this back on. Let's do around his scarf there, and then we'll call it a day, okay?
Okay.
Let's put this back on. Get that nice and tight. Get that as tight as it can. Pull that really tight. Close that wing nut up as far as you can. Okay, that color is kind of an olivey green color. And what I think they've done, now see, this is why we kept going. It's because I want to show you something. I'm going to take 2 threads from this dark green. 2 threads. I should have moved this light thread off. There we go. Let it dance. Let it dance. Separate it out here. Come back and grab it. Let it dance. Let it dance. And now take those 2 threads. Sorry. Here's my 2 threads. Don't let them get knotted up. There we go. Lay that on my lap. Then from this lighter color, I'm going to take 1 thread. And this is called blending. If you don't want to get variegated thread, you can do what we call blending. That's where you take 2 of one color, or they can be the same color. In this instance, they're both green, but they can be one light and one dark. Now let me make sure I get my right needle. Okay, it's this needle. Put this needle away, so it gets you in trouble. Get my needle threader. thread my needle. I've got 2 colors of thread on there, 2 values of the same color actually. Thread through my needle threader. You know, it's tedious until you get used to it. But what I really want you to get out of this video is that it's so easy, and if it doesn't look right, you just take it out and start over. Or you get your needle and you manipulate it till it does look right. Because in the end, it's just floss loops, okay? Loops of floss. Now look, I didn't get one of my strands threaded. I have to rethread. Make sure all 3 of your threads go through that needle threader. See, now I can see that all 3 threads are through there. All right. Don't let it get it knotted up at the tip of your needle. Pull it so you've got about an inch, a yard. Oh, how funny. Okay. Now, let's do the scarf. Let's start by outlining the scarf, okay? We always start by outlining. The beveled edge is next to me. The tail is away from me. When I was making that big sign, Peter, you should have seen me turning that thing around.
Oh my goodness.
I know, it was hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
It took
It's like, oh wow.
It took me probably a month and a half to do that piece.
Did your arms hurt?
My arms did hurt. I mean, I would have to stop and rest and do other things. But it was a sign for the shop, you know.
It's such a beautiful sign.
This is a new department for us, really. This is the newest department we have here at the shop.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot.
And so we wanted a nice sign for it. So I designed that sign, and all I did to design it was I went to my computer, and I found a font that I liked. And I just kept printing it larger and larger till I got it the size I wanted it. Then I turned it backwards, remember, because it was letters. I turned it backwards and traced it, and then I put it on my, traced it onto my weaver's cloth. That was a big old hunk of weaver's cloth, too.
And that one did you make a frame for it?
Actually.
Or it fit an existing frame?
No, I went to Hobby Lobby. And I don't know if you know how to stretch canvas or not, but you buy these wooden strips that have a tongue and groove in the corner. They're already mitered. And you can buy the sides, whatever length you want, and the top and the bottom, whatever length you want. And then you put them together. And that's what I did. Now, I want to see if Peter can get in here really close. When this comes out of my fabric, if I pull up way too much, do you see how it kind of bows out of my, I'm going to make it really do it. See how it kind of bows out? Don't let it do that. If it should do that, catch it and straighten it back out again. Okay?
How did you straighten it?
I just tugged on my thread here. And that'll make it tighter. Okay. Just tug on that a little bit. If not, your loop is going to be weird. It's going to be a weird loop. And that just happens from pulling your needle up too high. You're actually just scraping across. Maybe I shouldn't say scrape. I should say skate. You're just kind of skating across or moving across the threads of that fabric. Now, because I don't have anything to go around, you know, like I don't have any eyes and noses in this thing, and I can just punch the whole thing, it can go pretty fast. Especially once I get the outline in, because all I'm doing now is just filling in. And they don't have to be as close. Now we're almost done. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section, correct, Peter?
Uh-huh.
And then Peter and I will keep a close eye on that. Needle Punch 101, just the basics here. I think I had my hand in the way. I prefer to move the hoop. I like to sit at a table. Some people like to have it on their lap. If I have mine on my lap, I put a pillow on my lap to raise it up just a little bit.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Now, can you get these punches too close? Yes. You can get those punches in there so tight that it wrinkles up. I mean, it like cups the design in your fabric. You don't want your fabric to cup up. You want your fabric to still lay flat. So don't feel like you have to get a loop in every single thread, because you don't. Just kind of like, oh, now look, I've got a knot. See that? I can't keep punching until I get that knot out of there. Because if that knot goes into this tube, I'm in super duper trouble. I'll have to take my whole pin apart, and I will have to not restart all this over, but I'll have to cut, stop, and then redo my pin. So I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to actually get that knot out. And this is where I like to have my stiletto or another needle, because I have to untie that. Now also your tongue, your tongue action has to be in the right place. Now see, that's all taken out. Whew, glad I caught that before that went into that needle. Okay, where's my bevel? It's right here. So I know where my bevel is. I gotta keep track of that. A couple more passes and I'll be done with this. Hold on to my thread, pull it up.
Oh, he's coming right along.
See how the more you do,
That's
now
a
I've got
perfect
one
start.
little loop that's kind of long there. I'm just going to go in and give that a little trim.
He looks really good.
Now see how he's getting good?
Yeah.
And with my stiletto here, I'm going to just kind of make his nose a little more pointed. Look at that. See how I can just manipulate that, move that around? Oh, so cute. Here, let's move that a little bit out. Make his nose just a little bit fuller up there, so the point looks more pointed. And his eyes. When I put that brim in, that'll really crunch this all together. And look at that, how those eyes get better.
Yeah.
See how that's going to move that in like that?
Maybe
And
keep
those
it real small.
those eyes are going to look so much better when I get that brim of his cap on. Well, that even made it look better just by pushing that in like that, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So the moral of this story is, oh, look at that. Oh, those are so much nicer. The moral of the story is don't give up, okay? Keep going. If it doesn't look the way you want it to look, You can always manipulate the loops. You can always take it out and redo it. You can always start over. There's no needle punch police going to come to your house and take you away in chains if you don't do it exactly right the first time, because really there is no exactly right. It's just punching. It's punch, 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 punch. A lot of times, if my things get misshapen through my punching, when I'm done, the manipulating takes care of it.
So that might be a good reason to trace it onto canvas and save your transfer, so then if you have to trace it onto a new canvas, or you decide to,
Well, I think these transfers, you get maybe 5 or 6 transfers out of them. Come over here and look.
Really?
Yeah, look.
Well, that's cool.
Remember that testing one we did?
Excuse me.
My iron went to sleep.
Oh,
But remember that we already did this once?
Mm-hmm.
Let's wait for my iron to get hot a little bit.
Still blinking.
Yep. Let's just sit it on there because I'm impatient. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, how come it didn't do it? Maybe the iron wasn't hot enough. I thought for sure it said that you could get more than one out of them. Yep, there you go.
Whoop, there it is.
So maybe a couple 3, okay? Because it is quite a bit lighter than that one. But anyway, you can get more than one. We just proved it. So, oop, there it is.
Proof is in the canvas.
The proof is in the canvas. Now, what I would do is I'd clean all this up because I'd put these in the floss bags so that I would have them and I would know if I don't need them anymore. I'm going to need the white. So what I do is I put the white back on. And look, when I get down to his body, there's a little section here on his body. Can you see how it's dotted? Right there, and it's like a little of wind.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you like that sound effect?
I thought somebody opened the door.
Of wind. It's given me kind of a darker, light gray color. You can see the difference if I lay it on top of that. So that's what that little scoop of wind is all about. Isn't that fun?
That's cool.
Yeah, and then it's got these little dotted lines here. Do those first before you fill in. Anytime there is detail, like before I put this background in here, I'm going to do these stars. So the next thing I would do is I would do his hat right here and this brim. Probably do the brim first, then the hat, then this little pom-pom on top. I would do his scarf. I do these detail lines first. I do this part first. Then I do his scarf. Then I would do these swirly swirls. I think those are so cute, swirly swirl. Then I could fill him in. Then I would do these stars, the moon, the background. Then I'd come out and do these swirls. And then I'd fill in the frame. Now, there's lots of videos out there on showing you how to finish. And when I say finish, I mean putting it into something, like finishing it off. Okay? There's lots of videos out there on that. We may do one of our own someday. But as for right now, this is a lot to show you for today. I encourage you to please, if you think about adding a new needle art to your repertoire, Look at me with the big words.
Big word.
Oh, I'm so impressed with myself. Anyway, if you want to add another needle art to your repertoire, or if you just think that you want a new hobby and you've never ever done needlework before, this is the perfect thing to get started with. The investment's not that huge, and you get fast results, and it's lots of fun. Once you get the rhythm, you'll be amazed at how fast it goes. So try needle punch. If you need any supplies, we have them here at Always in Stitches in Noblesville. If you're not near Noblesville, Indiana, you can always give us a call because we ship anywhere. Well, maybe not to Indonesia, but I don't really know. But anyway, give us a call and we can see if we can help you. Alrighty, have a great day. Bye-bye.